Live. Welcome everyone. I think we're live, sitting down today in Romania. I didn't realize this whole background would be so nice, but it's pretty cool. I'm sitting down with Mandi. How's it going, Mandi, today?
I'm really jealous, envious, Etienne, because look at me. I'm here in my hoodie. It's like freezing cold here. I've been sitting with my blanket all night yesterday working. So I want to be where you are at. And I just love so much how you organize your life. And I know you work so hard for it, Etienne. And I have so much respect for you.
All right.
Because what you do is you design your life. You take your life into your own hands and you're like, this is what I want to create. This is how I want to live my life. And then you look for ways to do that. And that's just awesome. So yeah,
Awesome.
go
Perfect.
Etienne.
So if you guys are joining us live, comment below in the chat. We want to make sure we hear from you. And I know we already have one person in the chat, which is wonderful. Thank you. And we'll try to answer your question today as always. But first, we have some content to cover. I want to talk first about kind of how to organize your life to trade at the optimal point. Because like we can not organize our life and be stressed all the time, or we can start to organize and plan and trade properly, like more easily. So, Mandy, I know there's so much stuff to cover in that, like planning, goal setting, routines, like habits, the mindset. Where do you want to take this first?
So I want to say hello to Cinematica Comica. Where are you from? Hombre, you're from Spain or so. So definitely some Spanish-speaking country. Maybe Peru, who knows? Let us know where you're from, dude. Or dudette. So where I want to start with is, Etienne, that I'm highly organized. And every trader, when they get into trading, they start out wanting to Spanish Boston. Awesome. They start out because they want the freedom, right? So every trader starts out wanting to experience freedom in their lives. So they want to have financial freedom so that they can have the time freedom, so they can have the choice, the freedom of choice, right? However, in order to get to that point of freedom, we actually need to earn that freedom, right? We need to become highly organized first. We actually need to do the opposite of what we want to do, what we want to experience. We need to sacrifice money in order to get the training and the education. And it really amazes me. I'm willing to travel around the world to get really good training. And I'm so grateful for the internet nowadays. And, I've spent, I don't know, about $100,000 on my professional education nowadays. And when I run a seminar here in Melbourne, sometimes I get people sending me messages saying, "Oh, would you run a seminar in Brisbane or in Sydney?" And it's like, you know what? It's an hour's flight and it's $200. So come over here, go to where the education is. So first we need to sacrifice the dollars and the time. How many hours have you spent on the computer? I know I've spent hours and hours and hours studying and training myself, watching the markets, watching different markets, learning from other amazing people. And I know so have you, Etienne. So we need to sacrifice the time, right? And we don't have much choices at the beginning as well, because it's pretty much you're on the computer, you're learning, or you do something else and you sacrifice your trading. But if you have a goal, if you really want to succeed, you need to be like laser-like focused. Now, laser-like focus also means, and I just had this conversation with a trader a few days ago where he doesn't take care of his health, right? And he feels guilty about it because he knows that if we take care of our health, then we make better decisions. It's proven. There has been lots of scientific research that when you move, when you breathe, when you're healthy, your brain functions better. And even myself, I really take care of myself. I get up every hour, even every half an hour, move, and still I hurt my back 2 weeks ago, and then I had to be on painkillers, and it really knocked me out. And it's also very scary to think that people drive on painkillers because I couldn't function properly. And I'm off painkillers for the last few days and I feel the difference. So it's something that we need to take care of our bodies. And you young guys, you still get away with it, not taking care of your body, but
Yeah,
it will catch
but
up on
yeah,
you.
Of course, and I totally agree with all of this. I think the main part is the one where you have to be organized to have freedom. And I want to say welcome to Dragos from Montreal. Wonderful. Thanks for watching, Dragos, a good friend of mine in Montreal. So
Oh,
yeah, being
nice.
organized, but this is like really broad. So some people have different ways. I think it's easy to get caught up in wanting to have the best way to be organized, but then you don't get organized at all. So like, how do you organize yourself? And maybe you can share more about my style after. But is there something you do
Mhm.
more that you like that works for you?
Yeah. So the point came for me where my life was in such chaos that I just couldn't function anymore. And especially when when my coaching work picked up, and it's like, whoa, so I needed to organize myself. And I also came to the point in my life where I became really driven. I wanted to get to a certain goal. And to get to this goal, I started with goal setting. And I think everybody has heard by now smart goals. Now, I laugh at smart goals because this is how I started setting goals, right? My smart goals. And, by the 31st of December 2018, I'm a professional, fully um, self reliant trader making $10,000 a month, or whatever my goals would be, 2004, 2005, most of the time. And, even I did the Tony Robbins seminars, and he said, you have to move when you do your affirmations. So I was running along the beach and say, yes, I am a professional options trader. Yes, at the time I was trading options. Nothing happened. Nothing changed, Etienne, because I had not put a structure underneath my goal. I just put it out there and thought, like The Secret, that it will magically happen. By the way, anyone who has been watching the movie The Secret, almost everyone who has been a speaker there or who has been involved in the movie was very upset because she cut out Rhonda. She's from Australia, right? She cut out everything that was actions focused. And she only left in the woo-woo stuff, sit there and think about your goal, and the present will come to you. But we all know life does not happen like that. So putting up a goal, so let's say I want to make $100,000 in the next by the end of the year. So that's my big goal, right? Underneath this goal, I then categorize my life. My life is categorized in my career, which is trading, and then my other career, which is the training business. Then my health, I've got it here on the wall, my family and friends, my hobbies, my learning and growth, right? So I have categories, and underneath that I have subcategories. So I have subcategories in the context of my trading, and the subcategories are personal development, so working on my trading mindset, professional development, so learning new trading skills. At the moment, the last few months, I have been working a lot on learning how to look at the market in more macro context. And on the back of that, I have realized that every big trader I know, most of them that they also trade options, not solely, but also. And so I decided to go back into options, because with options trading there is so much more available, which when I started in 2002, I didn't see that. Options was just really blowing my mind. It's like, oh God, I'm not a numbers person, God help me. So I gave up on options when CFDs came because it seemed so much easier. um, but again, as I said before, with options, there is even more possibilities when we use options together with what I do, CFD trading or futures trading. It doesn't matter. So you can see I categorize and then subcategorize and then subcategorize. Within those categories, I set my really big goal. So my 5-year goal, right? Let's say I have a $10 million revenue. And then I do on the back of that my yearly goals. So what do I want to achieve in the next year? And I don't say it's 10 million divided by 5 years, so it's 2 years, 2 million a year.
Yeah.
I know that it's going to escalate and I'm going to scale up. So let's say I start with 100,000. And then when I have the foundations in place, then it can be more and more and more, right? Because then I only need to replicate in order to add more zeros. But until you have achieved your first goal, you need to put a lot of structures into place so your business runs on autopilot. And that's why, if you look at guys like Alejandro, for example, he loves his EAs, right? I wish I were like him and knew how to code, and because that's the way of the future as well. So in a nutshell, there's two lessons to take away from here. I mean, I can talk for hours about that,
Yeah.
that. So number one is set a really big financial goal, and then you put categories underneath that are part of your life. So your health, your finances, your career, your family, and everything underneath needs to be supporting your big goal. So when I go for a run, when I take care of my health, it is so that I can make better trading decisions.
Hmm.
Yeah, simple reason.
Love it.
Underneath that, so we have our trading business, our trading category. We put personal and professional development, and so on. So we break it down into yearly, 6 months, quarterly, monthly, and 5-day goals. So this is what I'm doing at the moment with my group, with my private group in the Fierce 10, Etienne. We are in the first week,
Hmm.
and that's what we are setting up. We are setting up designing our life. So everybody has decided on what they want to have achieved in a year's time. And now we design the journey. We don't go by chance. We don't hope for the best. Everything will be planned. And then within the plan, we are flexible because life happens, right?
Yeah. I think this is really important. And if you guys have any questions, by the way, at any time, comment in the chat. We want to make sure we answer a question after. But I think one of the commented fall here is that it's kind of a headache to know what action you have to take to reach your goal, especially in trading sometimes. And I think that's where the power of course is. Like you buy a course, it's going to tell you what step to put in place, or having a coach is really useful for that. But what would that look like for a trader? Like what would they put behind their 5-year goal of, let's say, trading full time and making 10K per month? What would be the different steps?
Well, it's pretty much what we offer in our full-time Forex accelerator, Etienne, isn't it?
Yeah.
That goes off your website, where again it all starts with designing the plan with action steps and milestones on how to get there by looking. So we go big picture, macro, right? And then we go into detail, into every day. What do I have to do every day in order to get to my goal in 5 years' time? And that's what you do, and that's why you can afford this lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
You're a free man, so make the most out of it.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the very first step. You need to know where you want to be. I know it's cliche, but it's how it is. And then you build your structure underneath. The second part is, so in the context of trading, look at where you are at in terms of your mindset, and say, I have to learn certain elements in order to improve my mindset. And how do I know what I have to learn? Well, I look at my trading behavior, my urges, my temptations, my fears, my hopes. And, do I make money and give it all back again? Am I afraid of pressing the mouse button? All of these need to be worked on. So every day, schedule an hour on personal development and developing the mindset that you need to have as a trader. And I find it so interesting because most traders, they think, they assume that they have to have the perfect mindset from day one. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Etienne, but I had to work freaking hard on my mindset, and I'm still working on it.
And not only that, but people
So,
expect that they need to have the perfect mindset starting like tomorrow and be perfect all the time and be like highly, like 100% disciplined all the time, which is kind of a myth in itself. So yeah, I find it sweet.
yeah, good
Yeah.
luck, And why do we do that? Why do we set goals out there that are unrealistic and unattainable? It's to placate ourselves, and it's a self-sabotaging behavior. So if anyone who does that, they should take a good look in the mirror or join one of our courses. And solve that. And that reminds me, Etienne, especially looking at finances. A lot of traders, as we said, they get into finances. They get into trading because they want to have financial freedom, so they can achieve time freedom, so they can have freedom of choice. That tells me that right now this is not what they're having. They don't have financial freedom to get the time freedom, etc. It's a very small percentage who is at that place.
Yeah, of course.
So what does that also tell me is if someone has financial challenges, they have stuff around money, right? They have, they need to, just looking at the cast behind you, that's just fascinating.
How is that? Funny.
So, if they have financial challenges, that shows me that their money mindset needs work on. And so I saw this post on Twitter, and I used to believe the same, Etienne, where, instead of looking at trading in context of dollars, look at your results in context of pips, in context of percentages, and so you will be less likely to give all your money back or to sabotage your trading results. And I had a chat. I had lunch with a few of my hedge fund friends, and I asked them. I said, "Did you guys ever think like that? Did you guys ever look in at your trading results in terms of percentages or pips or ticks?" And they laughed at me and I said, "No, it's hardcore dollars because Goldman Sachs doesn't care about pips; they care about dollars. That's what they want."
Yeah.
When you run a hedge fund and you run money for your clients, they don't care about pips. They want dollar returns. So that really made me think. And I came to the conclusion so looking at your returns in context of pips and ticks might have its space. It also tells me that that the trader has challenges around money mindset. And if we look at trading returns in context of pips and ticks and percentages, rather than the hardcore dollar value, that means that the trader has stuff and challenges around money. They need to work on their financial literacy and numeracy and become comfortable around dealing with money, around making and losing money. And
Yeah.
so often, Etienne, do you have the same where you spend $20 on something stupid, but you have a $20 loss and you're like, oh, that hurt because I was being stupid.
Yeah.
Do you have the
Well,
same experience?
not that much, but this is funny because of the fact that I used to be told that to like not look at, let's say, dollar, but look only at pip and like hide
Me
the number in
too.
my account and stuff, and even not put
Yeah.
color because that would be dangerous. And then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I already did that for some time, but now like 2 years after, I find that it doesn't make much of a difference. Maybe because I become better at this, and I'm not saying I'm perfect and everything, but maybe because I got better at it, I understand more, and I'm less like I guess
Yeah.
risk averse or less worried about losing that amount of money. But I don't know. It's just a kind of a change over time, I guess,
Yeah.
for
Well,
me.
Etienne, I know you quite well by now. So
Yeah.
I can with confidence say that you don't have stuff around money. And I can also with confidence say that you have a high self-trust in yourself because of all the work you've done in the first few years on yourself. And that's why it's not an issue for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
so so what's the solution
mhm.
here for people starting out with this? Should they hide everything, hide the color, hide the data, hide the price, the dollar amount, or should they just keep it and learn to deal with it?
I would say at the beginning, do both. So at the beginning, until you have dealt with your fears around money, and let's be real here. Um, from a certain age onwards, we all have had bad money experiences. And so we might all have limiting beliefs around money. And at the beginning, hide your P&L and use pips and percentages. Also, at the same time, you need to deal with your money challenges. And I have the money mindset course that I ran last year, actually, which was really amazing. So they're able to purchase that course through your website as well, I believe. Now, the thing is that what we say when I work with my traders, right? Often they come to me and they say, "Can you solve my problem? I can't be disciplined and I can't be patient." But the thing is, that's just a surface level problem. When we say, when someone comes to me and they say, "I have a problem," and I solve that problem, let's say I have a problem with a dog, and I solve their dog fears, then the same fears will come up with a cat. And they come back to me and they say, "Can you solve my fears with a cat?" And then I solve their fears with a cat. And then the same fear comes up with a horse. You see the problem, the solution, the cause of the problem is not being resolved. And that's why we need to go deeper so that the core of the problem is resolved and it doesn't come up in different circumstances again. So an example would be you hide your P&L, you're good with your money, but the point comes when you have reached a certain goal that you make one or two stupid trades and then you lose it all. So it shows up in different ways, just showing up its ugly face. And if you have maybe mastered it in trading, then it will show up in other areas where you maybe help a friend with financially, and then the friend loses it all, or the friend can't pay back, or whatever it is. It will show up in different ways. You need to deal with money problems, money challenges.
Love it. Well explained. Cool. Love it. Maybe
Mm.
some of the question we had in the chat. Some of them are interesting. So one of them was someone saying, "I struggle with trading due to work life. I work from 8 to 4 Monday to Friday. How would you deal with that? Because I'm sure at some point you were trading and working a full-time job. I was doing the same thing too.
Yeah, me
So
too.
how do you deal with that? And this I find this funny. I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, that goes back to being organized, right? So I was working with a trader, and he got frustrated because he would get late to the London Open session. It was a trader here in Australia. He would get home late from the London Open session, and then he got frustrated. And I said, it doesn't have to be frustrated. The problem here is time management. So you need to find a way to manage your time better, be more organized so you arrive on time, or trade a different market. Now, EMZ to Kind 81 is from the UK. So you could trade the US Open. US Open should be 9 o'clock UK time, I believe. I think it's 10 o'clock German time. Or is it earlier? So
US
doesn't
Open's
matter.
around, yeah, it's around 12 p.m. or something.
12 p.m.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. It's 10 o'clock here at
Yeah.
night. All confused.
Not confusion.
So, all right. So that wouldn't work either. Swing trading, definitely. So need to look, or swing trading or day trading, where you need to look at longer time frames because you just can't action what needs to be actioned in a shorter time frame.
Yeah.
There's no other answer for it.
But see, it depends on the mindset you come from. You come to this with. If you think that you miss all the move because you're at work, of course you're gonna feel like you missed all the move. But if you think that you are being selective and you take only the move you have to take after your job, then you will feel better. Of course, like automatically. So it has to do with the mindset you come in with. And if you see your job as an obstacle, then of course it's gonna be more tough to trade and sustain it.
That's a really good point, Etienne. And the thing is, we know there's always movement in the market. There is announcements, there is all the different markets. And that's why trading is so wonderful, because there is at any time always something moving. So maybe find the market that moves. Find a solution. Yeah, as you said, don't say I struggle with trading due to work. Be grateful for your work, because that actually enables you to trade. If you didn't have your work right now, you wouldn't have the money to trade. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
Good point.
going to work might be the most productive thing you do because it's what's getting you capital to invest later in your account, which is kind of part of the lifestyle also, or the process, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Etienne, I see that a lot where in the personal development industry especially is so dangerous. And I say, if you have to show your commitment, and in order to show your commitment, you have to quit your job, burn all your bridges, and then do what needs to be done. this is dangerous. I've seen people do that, and then they get into so much trouble. They can't get their job back. They struggle financially. They have fears. There is uncertainty because they don't have enough savings as yet that they can sustain a few months or even 6 months or a year without having to go back to work. Or they're spending too much money on unexpected expenses like an illness or a car breaking down or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So yeah, be grateful for your job. Put the foundations in.
that's a good point. I usually try to calculate properly what I do when I take a risk and stuff. But yeah, I've seen people like you who went to trade as a full time and then they have to go back to a job because they cannot afford it. But from day one, they said, okay, I know I can trade, so let's go full time and forget the job. But they have to go back to the right process after, which is unfortunate, but it
Yeah.
happens.
And the thing is, we always need to remember there is no such thing as consistent profits. There's always the possibility that we have a few months where we don't make any money. And you need to have at least 1 year in savings, at least.
Love that. Another question I find interesting about these news releases that impact your mindset, and that can be right. Like when you have these news coming up and maybe putting you out of trade, how do you deal with those? And for me now, it doesn't matter. Like I kind of got immune to them. I don't care at all. But for someone new, how would you deal with that?
Well, number one, we know when the news releases are coming out, so we can prepare ourselves with it. And I love news releases. I love trading news, but again, I'm a short time frame trader, so I scalp most of the time or be in a trade only for a few hours, unless there's no reason for me to exit the trade. But yeah, learn how to trade those new releases and make the most out of it. And I know that many traders, they were complaining about the Trump tweets and that the market changed suddenly. So it wasn't like just spikes, but there was a complete change in the market. And yeah, that's why we have stop losses for. Take your trades, put your stop losses in, and if you lose money with your stop loss, it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's either you complain or you learn how to deal with them. I think, and there's no
Yeah.
other.
Same
Yeah,
old.
like it. Perfect.
Yep.
Anything else you want to cover, or anything that we didn't mention about kind of building your optimal day as a trader to get your optimal trading level, or anything we would have to touch on to cover that?
Yeah, you know what I just looking at the questions may sound like a silly question, but how do you actually stick to a plan?
That's a good one, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one, Blaze Legion. So, and a very common mistake. So here's the thing. Number one, that's an sorry, let me read the question for everyone else. May sound like a silly question, but how do you actually stick to a plan as I get a desire to place a trade when I'm at the screen? There are several viewpoints to it. Number one, that's an experience that traders have who feel emotionally drained, who are unhappy with their life, who see trading as a solution to having a better life. And the reality is, we all do. I certainly did, right? I knew trading is going to be for me the solution to get out of a job that I didn't like and to build a life that I love. It took a few years, but I got there eventually. Now, when you especially when traders come home after a tough day where things didn't go so well, boss was not really nice, they had a cranky customer, they come to the trading screen and are overly eager to trade because that feels good. Finally they don't have to deal with people anymore. They can just be with a screen and they want to get this feel good feeling. And so like like when someone has a craving for a beer or craving for chocolate or is super, super hungry and then they start eating really fast. That's what we do as well with trading. So make sure that your emotional needs are your emotional buckets, the silos are filled before you go to trading, that you do something that makes you happy before you get to the trading screen. So let's say you love playing computer games. Go play a computer game first before you go to the trading screen. Have dinner or something that physically satisfies you before you go trading. Don't eat and trade at the same time when you're famished. Really important. Another viewpoint to that is that, so many traders, and I see that with my guys in my FIAS10 group in the mastermind group that I'm running right now, they go from persistently criticizing themselves and talking themselves down, and they're really sabotaging their pure potential. And so trading causes so much stress and frustration because they can't keep the profits. And, they get to the point where they even want to quit trading, and they become shut down and lose their confidence. And then when they get to this point, they want to force it suddenly. So they get into the market, and as they sit in front of the computer and say, no, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to make it work. And then they force their trades into the market. Yeah. So that's another viewpoint of it. And for everyone, it's, of course, it's very, very different. But the flavors are usually the same. So to start off with, when you have that, completely accept where you're at. And this is the work that I do starting off when we do the goal structure. I don't call it goal setting. It's a whole structure, a whole framework around goals. Accept where you're at and be honest with yourself. Be honest with where you're a great trader, where you suck as a trader, where you're a great human being, and where you suck as a human being. Now, we are not always perfect. We are not black or white. We are all different shades of beingness. And then when you know your weaknesses and your strengths, from that place, you can start building and start improving. And so, for example, when you know that you have the weakness of jumping to the trade, well, that's something that you need to work on. There is no quick solution. There is no quick fix. And I actually had this conversation with the guys as well when we had lunch. And one of the hedge fund guys, he said something really good. He said, I'm married and I love my life, my wife. And I do have the urge to meet other women, but I don't do it because I know the consequences and I love my family. I'm not going to risk that. And this is what he compared the jumping into the trade with. He has the urge and the temptation to jump into the market because there seems to be a really good setup, but he doesn't because he knows this is not good trading. And he knows this doesn't give him the profits that he wants. So he does what he needs to do in order to succeed, in order to become successful. And he doesn't do what he just feels like in the moment. And this is a really, really big difference that I find between the successful traders, the big guys, even on Twitter, and the unsuccessful traders. The unsuccessful traders, they're very feeling focused, people focused. And the successful traders, they're very thing focused. They just do that thing that needs to be done. And so my job with my traders in the FIAS10 is to move them from the place where they are criticizing themselves and sabotaging their pure potential to that place where they're congruent and they're capable and they feel certain. And those three, congruence, capability, and certainty, that gives the confidence. And when you have your confidence, then the urges and temptations, that feeling, that subsides pretty much. And so that's when your trading performance start to reflect what you're shooting for.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah, does it make sense?
Yeah, this so I can really relate to this. This is exactly what I've been kind of shifting to over the years, where I used to have this intention to put a trade because I would want to feel like a trader, want to feel like I could make money, and then now it's the reverse. So I might feel that I want to place a trade, but I know if it's not part of the plan or part of what I should do, then I know it's kind of counterproductive. It's like eating a pizza when you want to like lose weight, same thing, right? So you don't
Yeah,
do it, and it's the same principle. So yeah, exactly.
that's the only secret to trading.
Yeah.
The successful people do what needs to be done to achieve the goal. Unsuccessful people, they do what they feel like doing. So you can start with looking at yourself. Do you have made promises and then you don't follow through because you don't feel like doing? Um, or are you someone like me who has so much happening, over commits, and then have to manage? So that's a space where I'm in right now, where suddenly there's so many demands on me. Again, with a mastermind group and our work together with a fast track to trading success, and then interviews. I have like 3 interviews, and it's like suddenly, all this private coaching session, all those things. But this is amazing because now I need to get to the next level of managing myself, organizing myself. And I always say to myself, Tony Robbins, he manages 37 companies. I manage 2. There's something in it, huh?
Very good point. Very good point. And by the way, guys, the link for Mandy's program or mastermind group is going to be linked below in the description box, and you guys can check it out. Super useful, and Mandy has put a lot of good work into it. We worked a lot in the past, and I know she's doing a lot of good work as always. So, Mandy, I think we'll wrap it up here. Anything you want to mention, or any
Yes.
last advice for people?
No, I think that's it. So if you want to find out how to work more with Etienne or myself, and or both of us, Etienne's academy, or my Fierce 10 mastermind, or what we have created together, it's the Fast Track to Trading Success. And thank you everyone about your wonderful questions. So we
Yeah,
love it because
love it.
when you ask us questions, you bring out the best in us. And
Exactly.
and it's so much more fun. So thanks, Etienne.
Yeah.
Have
Awesome.
fun. And we see you next Sunday, I guess.
Sure. Thanks a lot for watching. We appreciate. And if you have any question after
Thank
this
you.
live, comment below in the comment box or comment place anyway. We'll make sure to answer your
Yeah.
question as always, and make sure you get resolved. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll catch you next week or tomorrow for the next video. Ciao.